What's up, guys? We're Tastosis. Going into this TVT, it's a really tough one to call, man. INnoVation is arguably the best player in the world, but he's looked a little bit shaky so far.
Well, True did put up such a good fight against him. Now, going up against GuMiho, this is a player that sometimes beats INnoVation. So it is a little bit tough for him. He needs to bring out his absolute A game. Thing is, it's INnoVation, so you're not going to catch him too many times not playing at the top of the world.
We are about to hop into this game. GuMiho, somebody we followed for a long time, and he finally hit his very, very best this year. And he's trying to ride that out now to win BlizzCon. Down here in the bottom right, in the blue, he is INnoVation! And his opponent here in the upper left, in the red, it's GuMiho.
You know, GuMiho joins a very short list of Terran GSL champions, especially recent Terran GSL champions. You know, we have, since the days of MVP, only INnoVation, Bjorn, and GuMiho have been able to take home that title.
That's right.
You know, that is a pretty big thing for GuMiho to be able to accomplish. Now, going into this against INnoVation, I'm very excited to see what styles he plays, because Mech is a little bit out of style against Terran.
That's right.
You definitely can play it in TVT. It's very strong in TVT, but we see a lot of bio-tank in this matchup. People move very quickly here.
Yeah, it's going to be tough if they both go for bio-tank here, I think, because INnoVation is just simply put so good at that. GuMiho, you know, when he started really succeeding with his mech style, it was not, as far as I could tell, borrowed from anybody else.
No.
It was his own.
Yeah.
It was his own style he had mapped out. He had some clunkier games early on, and I know I, on some level, sort of dismissed it as, well, that's just not going to work. I see what you're trying to do, but you're probably going to have to play a little bit more by the rules, and he totally proved that that was not the case. If he just refine that play style a little bit more, he could become a champion.
Well, he really is a strategic player, and he should have some sort of strategy planned here. Like we already saw TY taken down by Special, based strongly off of having great strategies for the matchup. So we'll see what GuMiho has in store. Right now, it is a complete mirror matchup. Not only Terran versus Terran, Korean versus Korean, but the same buildings on both sides. Just now, a second gas being added for INnoVation. So the first difference we see between the two players.
Yeah, and as this game continues on, we're going to see how it branches out and what paths they're going to try to take here. But for the time being, I mean, there's not too much else to remark on. Let's keep in mind INnoVation before we got here to the WCS Global Finals, leading now into BlizzCon coming up just around the corner. INnoVation was looking absolutely terrifying. A lot of people were just saying there's no way this guy can be stopped. He's doing everything perfectly, but we really had to change the way we viewed that after that game against True. And I mean, part of it's like, look, True's a really good player. Don't underestimate it. But yeah, it's been tough.
It certainly has. Now, looking at this, Tasteless, kind of interesting. GuMiho did go ahead and grab a second barracks pretty quickly. So we'll see. Maybe he wants to do one of these stim timings, just put on some extra pressure early on. Looks like he's just getting a couple add-ons at the moment. Definitely see some Cyclones coming out on both sides as well.
Looks like the Reaper's going to come up here to the top. We may have them intercept each other. Scouting around to see if there's any stray buildings at all. They do pass now. INnoVation's going to try to come forward here and possibly hop up into the main. Nope, he decides to loop back around. Yeah, Stim on the way here for GuMiho. GuMiho with a couple Cyclones down there, as we saw. He does like to use those a lot early. He was really bending a lot of the rules in a lot of ways that we saw that unit being used.
That's
true. It was specifically him. The Cyclones sort of had a funny place. A lot of the new abilities when Legacy came out did, where we weren't quite sure how they could be used. Remember when you would just get one?
Yeah.
And it was sort of this fix-all. For anything that came to your base, and then
it's kind of like one. It's like a Terran mothership core in a way.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's really good. It's sort of enough of a deterrent that you can't really do that much harass, but then GuMiho started figuring out excellent ways to kind of poke in and do a lot with that. It's cool to just see it all around in general like that now. So right now, GuMiho in his main. A lot of Marines gathered together with some stim coming up here. You really, in this matchup, can't move out until that stim's done. If you do, you're putting yourself at risk.
Well, his stim and +1 are both going to be finishing up relatively quickly here. He's going to get the medevacs out and be able to put on some serious pressure. This is going to give GuMiho complete map control for a bit and the opportunity to do damage. But on the other hand, INnoVation, you know, he's already got a siege tank out. He's kind of gone up the tech tree a little bit quicker here. So if he can just hold on and not take damage from GuMiho, he should be just fine, and I would not be surprised if we see him start a third command center relatively soon.
Okay, Cyclone pokes out, shuts down any vision there for INnoVation. INnoVation also ready for the possible medevac drop that's going to come into play. We see GuMiho is going to be the one to move out first here with the 2 medevacs. Stim getting done. A scanner by INnoVation. Did he actually see the medevacs?
Yeah, he saw the medevacs.
Saw that? Okay. So this is all par for the course. This is a very, very common build here in TVT. And a lot of weight rests on how you're able to utilize the medevacs, because if you screw up and you lose that, you are way behind and might not be able to pull through with anything. Stuff happens pretty quick in TVT fights.
Oh, it certainly does, and that's what GuMiho is going to be going for here. But INnoVation in a very defensive posture right now. A siege tank in the natural, one in the main, plenty of Marines around. This Viking going to push back those medevacs. And, of course, INnoVation getting that third command center started a little bit before GuMiho.
Okay, INnoVation now with his own pickup here. He's boosted up north. It looks like he will be spotted, though, by the Cyclone. Great usage there by GuMiho.
Looks like he'll drop the Marines on top of it, see if he can't grab a kill on this Cyclone. It's going to run out of there very quickly. Some of the Marines stim here to try to catch up.
This is a high-speed Cyclone chase, Artosis. Okay, he does manage to get that out. Not going as smoothly as he would have wanted to. GuMiho going to come in here for an interception. These Marines already stimming from earlier. Get gunned down right away. INnoVation now on the run. A lot of this just goes back to that Cyclone he was chasing down. Getting rid of it's great, but it also revealed the position and where the HP was for the Marines post-stimming. Good interception there by GuMiho, giving him a small lead and a little bit more dominance on the map. But INnoVation going to go ahead and move out now. He may push along with taking this expand.
Well, you know, taking this base, this is very INnoVation-like. He wants to get a lot of bases up, and generally the way he plays TVT is by keeping his expansion safe while massing up siege tanks to go with his bio. He doesn't necessarily walk around just trying to kill you early on, but instead gains those advantages, stops some of your drops, gets a higher supply, and a lot of siege tanks to be able to push through you.
Okay, infantry armor is about to finish up here. But first and foremost, let's take a look at this Liberator. Okay, it does not do anything. Yeah, infantry armor now done here, which is going to make GuMiho's Marines a little bit more beefy. INnoVation is a little bit to the right. There he is. But on the low ground, I'm not sure if GuMiho's going to try to stim forward and take out any of these Marines. He can take out a few and then pick up and run away. And he's going to do just that. So now INnoVation reclaiming the center. This is one of these maps where having the center is really, really helpful, but you can be intercepted anywhere. There's so many locations where if you're trying to move everything via medevac, you're putting yourself at a certain amount of risk. You can be gunned down. INnoVation continues to stim forward now. We have siege tanks sieging up. GuMiho with 3, INnoVation with 4. INnoVation is just barely at an angle where he can start to chip away at the command center. If he can nudge in a little bit further.
Yeah, the siege tanks are not maybe perfectly placed by GuMiho, but make it very hard for INnoVation to do anything. If he does move forward with his tanks, or move north rather, you know, that high ground will be behind him. He'll have his back to the wall. So INnoVation has to be careful with this push, or GuMiho might be able to kill it.
Okay, INnoVation decides it's probably better to back off. If you overstay your welcome, it will go pretty poorly, man. He GuMiho could easily go around and start intercepting the reinforcements. So INnoVation with some cautious play regroups here in the center, excuse me. Sensor tower now up here for INnoVation, and GuMiho goes in and takes a 4th base.
GuMiho is really staying on top of things. He's started his 2-2 more early. He's gotten his 4th command center started now before INnoVation has. These are great moves by GuMiho, who right now stimming on top of this ramp, but absolutely outnumbered. He has to turn around and run.
Good escape there by GuMiho, who's also now moving around here to the bottom right. What GuMiho is trying to do is stay on top of when and where INnoVation is going to take the 4th base. For instance, seeing the SCV there, that can easily telegraph that an attempted expand is probably going to occur there. Unless INnoVation's mind games are really crazy, but I don't think we need to worry about that. in this game, so he is going to take that center right base. So far, positionally, with expands, they're mirroring each other.
Yeah.
Nobody really able to get a clear leg up.
No, I would say just a slight edge to GuMiho in some ways. You know, these upgrades, the quicker expansion and all that. Starting that second factory a little bit before INnoVation as well, but you can see those INnoVation mechanics shining through for INnoVation. He's caught a few units. He's kept his production up. He has that one worker lead, Tasteless.
That's right, Artos just cracked me up.
I mean, one worker.
One worker, man.
Well, for some people, that's 100% more workers,
That's
right?
right.
Like, if he was playing against Neeb right now, one more worker, man, that could be twice as many as he has.
INnoVation now coming in with the high ground here, sieging up slightly ahead of where GuMiho is, but not enough Marines. INnoVation unable to do the pickup. Everything is gunned down. Big win here for GuMiho. GuMiho now can try to press forward and possibly end up hitting this expansion just adjacent to the main right here. INnoVation, though, losing those tanks, I don't know if he can stop the momentum coming in from GuMiho.
Yeah, this move is fantastic. INnoVation bringing his tanks back ASAP, but the siege tanks on the high ground definitely going to be at an advantage here for GuMiho as he continues to press forward. Stimming now into the fourth base, going after these SCVs. INnoVation coming up with a bunch of Marines, but already a lot of damage being dealt.
Sometimes with INnoVation, it seems like it's too little, too late. He scans again, siege is up, and he will be able to hit these tanks if INnoVation doesn't react in time. The Marines go down. He needs to get something to spot the high ground. The Vikings come in. And, oh, wow, they're just exactly out of range of each other.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I
right
actually
there.
thought that something would be able to hit something there. Oh, okay, cool. So he still has pressure over there on where the refinery is. He could still at least take that out, which is something. GuMiho's going to try to regroup here in the middle and try to press forward. But INnoVation does drive them back. This expansion over here in the center of the right is not under threat here. But if I'm GuMiho, I'm pretty comfortable.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's been no real pressure on GuMiho. There was one slight siege tank push by INnoVation, but GuMiho held on fine. He's now been doing some harassment. He's got a great position there on the high ground as well. INnoVation, though, he's coming out into the map. He's trying to see if he can get something done, but if he ends up losing those units, he'll be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, INnoVation actually has slipped through GuMiho's army and is now going to pounce on this location here in the center left. We can get a shot of the expansion here at the center left. The planetary is going to be gunned down. There's not enough SCVs to repair that. GuMiho tries to come in and attack this expansion down here. So many siege tanks, though, being reinforced by Marines from INnoVation is going to drive them back. Big win here for INnoVation.
That is gigantic. GuMiho trying to break that entrenched position, but absolutely not working while losing his fourth base. INnoVation takes the lead in every single way.
INnoVation now rotating around here. GuMiho, the lead that he had built up to for about the first 12 minutes of the game is basically gone. INnoVation coming in here once again now. The Marines are whittled down, and it's going to be just a few tanks remaining here as the medevacs pull back. GuMiho survives this attack, but in the big picture, it's 108 supply to 173. That's the real story here. Not just GuMiho being lower on bases, but lower on everything.
Man, INnoVation coming right up to the center to meet GuMiho at the moment. All he has to do is hold on for a little bit longer, and his economy will kick in, and his lead will become insurmountable, or so he wants it to be. Now pushing forward, stimming in, trying to pick up these siege tanks for GuMiho. GuMiho sieging up, but losing so many before they can even fire. INnoVation clears his army, and GG is called. INnoVation taking game number 1. But that was not an easy game. GuMiho had some advantages early on.
GuMiho, he was doing an excellent job at the start, but the moment that INnoVation's army managed to slip through, it was a funny way that he snuck through because it was a direct line, but it actually went around everything. Or I guess you should say GuMiho went around everything in the middle there as he was trying to get some strategic position over his opponent. If you're not ready at your expansion when the stim Marines and tanks get there, it's gone.
No, certainly you are right about that. Even with a planetary mass repair, I mean, that amount of Marines and siege tanks.
The CC pops like a balloon, basically. So he annihilated that expansion, and GuMiho, being the aggressive player that he is, kept trying to push out, and that led to overextensions. GuMiho repeatedly had his army swallowed up by INnoVations. And this shows you guys why INnoVation is so scary. He is, regardless of how, if there's a hiccup at some point in time in the game, he never strays from the course of macroing, trying to figure out some kind of strategy to take his opponent out, and that means he's got this 1-0 lead.
It's an important thing here for INnoVation. Definitely wants to go through as a top seed here into the round of 8. Doesn't want to drop down to fight Cyril, a player who has given him a little bit of a hard time in the past. Looks like it's time for game number 2. INnoVation looking to finish off GuMiho.
GuMiho, clearly a good player, but when you're playing against possibly the best player in the world, it might not matter as much, man. In the bottom right, winning game number 1, he is INnoVation. In the upper left, in the red, our other Terran player, it's GuMiho. I was really thinking GuMiho was going to take that early on.
Yeah, he was playing really, really well. I really don't have any problems with it. It seems like he lost that game all at once when his 4th base was killed and he counterattacked. He's like, okay, well, you have a lot of units over there. I should be able to kill a base. But instead, he just lost all his units to INnoVation's production. he actually attacked into the most defended point, the rally point. If he had instead tried to drop the main or maybe attacked the 4th of INnoVation instead of the 3rd, I feel like we'd still be in that game. It would still be going on as a nice, tight fight. But that one wrong choice, and INnoVation just plows through.
You know, Artosis, TVT is such a funny matchup because I think it has the highest rate of fluctuating with who's ahead and who's behind.
Oh, yeah.
The game could seesaw back and forth so quickly. We saw GuMiho with a continuous lead until in a matter of about 4 seconds. The game's completely upside down. And, you know, with somebody like INnoVation, generally speaking in his TVTs, he's either neck and neck and then wins, or he will just stay so far ahead and then close it out. But the moment that you drop the ball against him, especially in TVT, it's almost impossible to recover.
Yeah, that is true. He's very good at finishing out games that he has a lead in there. Now, this build is very different from GuMiho than what we saw previously. He's not getting a fast command center. Instead, he's gotten his 2nd gas on that 1 base, getting the factory very quickly. So we're going to see some heavy pressure, some heavy tech out of GuMiho right off the bat. Can INnoVation hold on against that, making his fast command center pay off?
Okay. In this game, Cyclone coming up here along with the Reaper. We're going to see if he's going to manage to scout and get in there. GuMiho's liked these builds a lot. We've seen in Legacy GuMiho toy with these sort of openings, getting that Cyclone out, trying to do any sort of damage. And, yeah, it was earlier on in that last game, positioning that Cyclone to actually catch the initial double medevac push out from INnoVation was really nice.
Yeah, and, you know, the Cyclone is a little bit synonymous with GuMiho.
Yeah,
there's just a handful of players that really used it a lot. We should almost call it the Cycloniho or something. You know, it's he's definitely been one of the leaders of using it. Now,
this is funny because they both have double Reapers moving out, so they're both going to get into each other's bases for sure.
All right, double Reaper hopping up in both sides. You're going to go ahead, get on top of this Marine, start doing some harassment. The Cyclone is about to pop out for INnoVation. GuMiho, of course, already has one out.
Okay, it looks like this last Cyclone should be able to get away. Mirrored situations on both sides. Now the SCV for GuMiho's command center was assassinated, so that structure's not making any more. He sends one more down, and he's in good shape. Meanwhile, basically same story here for INnoVation. So mirrored builds and mirrored engages, Artosis.
Yeah, kind of. Well, those Reapers gonna go back across the side of the map, stay in their home base for a little bit now. INnoVation continuing to tech up. Viking and another Cyclone here.
Yeah, getting that Viking out, it's always handy. You can end up basically zoning out a lot of medevac drops that come in early on. We have that first medevac out. And this is one of the more ambitious plays we're seeing here from GuMiho. And it's, again, it's the quintessential GuMiho move is get a Cyclone and then get some other generic Terran units and start trying to make something happen. I think one of the reasons why GuMiho likes the Cyclone so much is it deals damage really fast. Yeah. So if you can get a tactical position over your opponent, things can spiral out of control for them. But he's going to try to come in here right now. He's already set the Reapers in. The medevac was spotted by INnoVation Cyclone, so INnoVation has been matching GuMiho in this case with that.
Yeah, GuMiho actually not finding any damage at all. His Reapers jumping up into opposing Reapers, so taking a lot of damage there. Looks like GuMiho's medevac trying to get something done against the Cyclones, but again, he just has to fly away. INnoVation's defense has been near perfect here.
We now see INnoVation finally moving out here. I guess expecting on some level that GuMiho would be the first guy to try to poke, and he knows he just has to shut down whatever is coming at him, and then he can actually come out and start to try to dominate the map a little bit more. Stim starting for INnoVation as well, while GuMiho is taking his third base.
Yeah, that's kind of cool that he's taking his third base right now. You know, one of the interesting things, I guess you could say, about StarCraft 2 and the way that it's played, GuMiho, he starts out a little bit aggressive, right? He's poking, he's prodding. He didn't get damage done, but what he did do is force... I can't believe how much these Reapers are actually getting done. I'm trying to not talk about it.
The amount of game time that these Reapers on both sides have lasted and done damage is pretty funny. But okay, GuMiho going to pick up for a big attack here.
Oh, okay. We'll see what he gets done with that. But what I was talking about before, he forced 3 Cyclones out of his opponent, but only made 1 himself. Now, Cyclones are very good in the early game, but they don't scale at all. As soon as you have Marine tanks, Cyclones just blow up. And GuMiho has been making tanks for a bit, just making the single Cyclone. So this move out that he has is pretty dangerous against INnoVation.
Yeah, tanks are almost everything in TVT. And if you're going to be making Cyclones, then you can't be making tanks. So GuMiho, with a more traditional unit composition, is just looking for an opening. He's rotating now around towards the center right, a scan here to get some confirmation, and he's going to drop these tanks over here behind this ledge, but INnoVation coming in right now. Again, you can't pick up those tanks when they're sieged, so he's going to be driven out, and INnoVation just waiting. It's like the Karate Kid wax on, wax off. GuMiho's attacks.
Well, GuMiho going to pick up again, try to drop in the natural as INnoVation's units went the other direction. A hot pickup on that siege tank. 6 SCVs going down, so I mean that's pretty good. But his army is kind of trapped here.
Yeah, exactly. His army is on some level stuck. As long as there's Marines with Stim, he can gun down these medevacs. And when you lose this many medevacs along with the tanks, GuMiho is going to be way behind. Tank gets shut down. The only remaining medevac, I don't think it's going to get away with the Cyclones here. Let's see.
No, I don't think so. You're right about that. It should be falling down. Down it goes. So at the end of the day, he kills 6 SCVs, but loses all of those units he worked so hard to create. And now INnoVation, who did get this initial command center up so early, is going to be able to move out and have a counterattack.
Yeah, INnoVation just stays on the defense, waits for GuMiho to attack him. And engages properly by taking that out. And now this push here from INnoVation is a real threat to GuMiho. Remember that GuMiho took a third base right away, so he's certainly not invested anywhere near as much into Army as INnoVation has. And with the 3 medevacs, the tanks, and all the Marines from that drop being taken out, this push may actually take out GuMiho.
Yeah, it definitely could. GuMiho's Stim, though, is about to finish, so that is such an important upgrade. Also looks like he has air control with these Vikings, and that's really important, especially if you're playing that defense, to push away the medevacs, to have that extra line of sight vision. But does he have enough here to hold on? Only a single siege tank and a bunker. Kind of a funny late-game bunker here at that third.
Well, the bunker is going to go down pretty quickly. There's no SCVs over here to repair it. So INnoVation now pouncing on top. Bunker goes down. CC is lifted. As the tank is destroyed, the SCVs manage to escape into the second. But INnoVation is going to possibly get the CC.
Oh, my God. If he gets this command center, it's huge, and down it goes. INnoVation sieging up now. Doesn't look like he'll get too much done with those siege tanks, but this was a super powerful move, securing his lead.
And look at this, INnoVation's not going to waste his time for a second. He unsieges, and he's probably just going to back up. There's not much that INnoVation has to do from here. This game is really GuMiho's problem.
Yeah.
INnoVation's going to get a lead. He's just going to keep producing, and GuMiho has to figure out some way to have a better engage with a smaller army against a player that has more income because he has an extra base.
And something like this is especially hard against INnoVation. He's so good at finishing out TVTs. You know, if he gets a lead like this, his macro will not falter. That is just a fact. He is going to continually produce his units very well. His economy is not going to fall behind you. So you really have to get quite creative here as GuMiho to find a way back in.
INnoVation now rotating here into the upper right. I love the sensor tower he put over there at the third base. He just has to basically wait. GuMiho may try to sneak out of base. The problem is, if you look at the mini-map, INnoVation literally has vision everywhere around GuMiho's two bases, his main and his natural. So I don't know if he's going to be able to sneak anything out here at all.
Well, GuMiho trying to clear all that. Doing a small engagement here as well, but a tank volley does hit those Marines, punishing him a little bit. GuMiho continues to walk around with some Marines, though, and clear out all of INnoVation's vision. So he's trying to make the map a little bit darker here, so INnoVation is not just completely aware of his each and every move. Yeah,
even if he's just taking out spotters like we see happening over here, it makes INnoVation more unsure of a possible drop into his base. But INnoVation's having none of it, Artosis. He's actually moving out here in the center right. GuMiho stimming and gearing up. Basically, GuMiho has to keep this base alive or he's going to lose. And INnoVation is itching to possibly end this series.
Well, he's got armies kind of surrounding all the exits here from GuMiho's base, and it looks like he's bringing them together now. He might be going for a full frontal attack, knowing that GuMiho actually has to spread out his units to make sure he doesn't take additional damage.
Okay, INnoVation is going to stim in here. I don't know if there's going to be enough siege tanks here for GuMiho to hold this off. The Marine clumps are taking damage, but eventually INnoVation pushes through. More Marines coming down here from GuMiho, but the CC is under real threat as it's being hit by those siege tanks. The SUV is repairing the CC as fast as possible. Just not enough Marines here for GuMiho.
Oh my God, the siege tanks coming forward here for INnoVation. So many of them just plastering these Marines as they run forward, but the Vikings do kill off some medevacs and push him back while he saves that command center.
Having enough Vikings that you can drive your opponent's medevacs away means that you're going to have an advantage as far as whose tank fires first, since the tanks can shoot farther than their vision. So that's good for GuMiho. However, he does not have that base. Once again, INnoVation has punted that up into the natural.
Oh, look at this move, though, right now. GuMiho trying his best, setting up a Liberator, dropping Marines on the tanks as they unsiege. But INnoVation, of course, with the answer. Vikings coming up, pushing everything back. And that unstoppable macro from INnoVation, just so scary here.
We see INnoVation coming in here now. GuMiho is trying to expand just north of here, but GuMiho not in the right position. Siege takes not siege.
Oh, huge stim forward, and GG. INnoVation going to take out GuMiho with a convincing 2-0.